My speech will be on a workshop on innovation, and this is what is design thinking, the way that I teach. There are 4 steps in looking, understanding, making, and testing. In the looking side, the main theme is create empathy, and we try to understand what it is, what the problem is. In the second step, the main theme is brainstorming. We're trying to understand the problem, and we're trying to discover some solutions for the problems. The third step is the making. In the making side, we visualize what our idea is. And in the fourth step, it says testing. We have to get the feedback from the stakeholders. And in the looking side, there are many techniques that I apply in the lecture. So in the ethnographic method, there's the interview, observation. In the participatory, what's on your radar, or is the projection, it's a 360-degree projection. And then in the secondary resources, we have to interview with the people. In the second step, as you notice that there are many more techniques. And we're trying to understand who are our people, who are our users, and what solutions that we can suggest. And in the third one, in the making side, there are 2 types of prototyping. One is a sketch, the other one, it is more visual and concrete, 3-dimensional. And in the fourth one, it is a testing. We have lots of different techniques of testing. Okay. And this is the main issue that I will talk now. There are so many techniques. I counted before I arrived here, and there are 42 techniques. And I want that all my students embrace them, all fully understood them. And when I teach them in a traditional way, so to give what it is, explain it, give case studies or examples, they just try to memorize them. But I don't want them to memorize. I want that they fully embrace the techniques. I want that they solve these problems, the real problems, and I want that they become the future leaders. I want to give my best education, and I hope that they will lead their societies. So to be able to do this, they have to absorb all these techniques. So this is the challenge. My wish is that they really absorb, embrace, and understand, apply, and use them. But since there are so many things to learn, so what they are trying to do is to memorize it. So I have to make a radical change in my lecture. Whatever I learned up to age, I have to change the way that I teach. And so this was a big problem in my mind, and I was thinking deeply how I can solve these issues, this challenge or dilemma. And so this is my new paradigm, a total change in my lecture. First, little explanation. It was very tough, because since I am a professor, I like talking. I can talk hours and hours. If you let me, I can talk till midnight. But I have to give them to apply, the chance of apply. So I cut off my explanation radically. Let's say if it's a 3-hour lecture, only 5 or 10 minutes explanation, that's it. Then I make lots of projects. It becomes a project-oriented lectures. And then it is a hands-on. So to be able to make it project-based learning system, I developed, let's assume that there's a 15 weeks semester. I make it 15 different projects. And also one big project, a real project, live project, I assign them a live project. So the challenge that how I will develop the 15 different projects, plus I have a, let's say, entrepreneurship lecture, I have an economics lecture, so I have to develop different type of projects for each one. And each week, it needs a new project. So it was a big, big challenge. It's a radical change in our education system. No PDF anymore, no PowerPoint anymore, no words, no talking, just application. So this is an example how I made these changes. I gave a question. So, for instance, this is an MBA course. So this is a course, a question that I address to my students. How should be an MBA lecture? Well, then the steps should be fulfilled. First, understanding is interview. Then they are interviewing each other. They ask the questions each other. They are taking notes in the class. They are making insights. From the insights, they are grouping. They make the main teams. And then through the some ideation methods, we are developing the solution. So as you see, this is a typical lecture of mine. Students are making the insights. Whatever they interview, they put on the wall. And this is a creative matrix. As you see, these two girls, in 15 minutes, they have to develop 75 ideas. And we are, all my students arrive to this point. In 15 minutes, they come 75 different ideas. Every time I count them and arrive it. So this is, for instance, a second week lecture. And another question. And this time, how should we invite a guest speaker? So again, in this one, I started with an interview. Then people ask each other questions. And in that, in the making side, they have to make it quick reference. So they have to make a reference list to explain how they will invite a guest speaker, what will be happen during the session, and after the session, after the conference, what will it end up. So it will be a coding. We will code the system. And in the interview side, it is not just what you think or yes or no type of question. We're trying to develop their empathy skills. If you were a speaker, what would you expect from the conference? Before it, during, and after it. If you were a listener, then what would you expect from the guest speaker, from the conference events? So they have to explain a story that they faced in the past, or a story or an experience during the class. Another one. This is a question that how is your organization, current and future? This time we start with another technique. We name it collage. In the collage technique, we give the reviews to students, and students cut the pictures and related to their current position of their organization. It can be a question about organization, it can be a question about health, it can be a question about family, any question. But just for the sake of this lecture, I gave the assignment, how is your organization now and future? In the left-hand side, they cut the pictures and they put it, this is my current situation. The pictures are related to their organization, but not are on the organization. And in the right-hand side, they put the pictures, they cut the pictures from the reviews. And this is their aspiration, this is their future potentials, and this is their wishes. And sometimes this is the way that they want to keep also in the future. So after a student make this collage, then he start narrating to interviewer. So it's a long story. And they couldn't be, they are so surprised and they couldn't believe that all these pictures looking like irrelevant, they make it so much relevance, and they start explaining what is going on their organization, what is the current and what is the vision, what should be the organization should be oriented. So everything in the course. So what happened after passing all these stages, after passing all the semester? One, very high satisfaction. Students are truly satisfied. I am very satisfied because I see the changes, all of them. The second one is involvement. Before, the students try to look their watch and they say, okay, there are 10 minutes left and I have to leave. Okay. Now, even in the break time, they want to stay at class. They don't, the time is flying and they cannot remember that this is the time for the lunch, this is the time of the break. So not stopping working is a very high involvement. The third one is changing mindset. So they don't try to solve the problem first, or they don't try to memorize something first, but they really trying to understand what the problem is. And they realized that solution is very easy. It's extremely easy. The issue is that what the problem is, because whatever the problem is looking on the surface is not the real problem. When you dig inside through the interviews, through the Collage system and other techniques, they are digging the real problem. And what is the real problem? After they find the real problem, as I told you, in 15 minutes, 75 ideas. And applying the other techniques, you can come in 1 hour, 200, 300 different ideas. It's an amazing number. And we show them in some techniques how they will recruit the best one. But always an application. So in the application, I pinpoint the mistakes that they are doing, and this is the point that I interfere. It's never a speech or one-way explanation. It's a total action bias. So in the one semester, in total 1 semester, they have to apply these techniques for a real project. For instance, it can be a problem on their organization. So they start interviewing and applying all these techniques in their organization. So what is the reaction from my students? They say that after my lecture, they cannot sleep. They spend sleepless nights because they see all these potentials about their career, about their organization, because they change the way that they look at life. And so this is my mission. I strongly believe. And so it can be applied in any fields. I do apply in different fields. So my project change, if it's an economic development lecture, it becomes poverty issues. If it's a business lecture, it becomes organization issues. So in different topics, it will be different projects.